Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Titan Base, watching Saturn's rings glisten in the distant sunlight. Her reflection in the reinforced glass showed a woman in her 40s, with stern features and calculating eyes that had seen too much. The secret military installation, hidden beneath the moon's methane seas, represented humanity's greatest deception and their greatest hope. The Centauri delegation has arrived in Earth orbit, Commander, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from behind her. They're demanding another increase in resource quotas. Sarah's jaw tightened. For 150 years, humanity had played the role of the galaxy's subordinates. They had bowed and scraped before the Centauri Collective, a confederation of 7 spacefaring species who claimed dominion over this arm of the Milky Way. The Collective had discovered Earth in 2157, offering humanity membership in their Grand Alliance, as a protectorate race, of course. "Any word from our operative on New Darwin?" she asked, turning from the window. Rodriguez's expression darkened. "That's why I'm here, Commander. We've received Agent Carter's final transmission. You need to see this yourself." In her private office, Sarah watched the message. The agent's face was gaunt, his eyes wild. Behind him, alarms blared. "This is Agent Michael Carter, verification code Sierra 9 Delta." The rumors were true. The Collective, they're not just taking our resources, they're experimenting on human colonists. Genetic manipulation, neural rewiring. They're trying to create some kind of slave race. I've uploaded proof to this transmission, but they found me. Commander, it's time. God help us all. The transmission ended in static. Sarah sat in silence for a long moment, then opened a secure channel to Earth's Defense Council. "This is Commander Chen. Implementation of the Perseus Protocol is now authorized under Article 7. Confirmation code, Avalon's Dawn." Across the solar system, hidden facilities hummed to life. In the asteroid belt, massive shipyards decloaked, revealing vessels that had never appeared on any official registry. On Mars, quantum weapon arrays emerged from beneath the red sands. And in bases throughout Earth's sphere of influence, soldiers who had trained in secret for generations received their activation orders. Humanity had never been as technologically backward as they'd pretended. While sending outdated ships to trade with the Collective, they had been building something else entirely. The Perseus Initiative, named after the mythological hero who slew Medusa, was humanity's insurance policy. Sarah walked through Titan Base's Central Command Center, watching as personnel moved with practiced precision. No more drills, no more rehearsals. This was real. "Status report," she commanded. "All Perseus units reporting ready, Commander. Sleeper agents in place throughout collective space. Quantum communication network online. Atlas Defense AI fully operational." And the Centauri delegation, still in orbit, demanding to speak with Earth's leadership about the resource quotas. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "Send word to the Council. Tell them to agree to a meeting. One last dialogue before we show them exactly what humanity is capable of." In Earth orbit, aboard the Collective's flagship, Ambassador Xerxes of the Centauri waited impatiently. The tall, crystalline being had never understood why the Council insisted on maintaining this charade with the humans. They were barely more than primitives, useful only for their resources and their genetic potential. A junior aide approached, its crystalline form shimmering with anxiety. "Ambassador, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from several points in the solar system. Probably some primitive mining operation." Xerxes dismissed. "These humans err." The ship's alarms suddenly screamed to life. Across the view screen, massive vessels seemed to materialize from nowhere. They were human ships, but unlike anything the Collective had ever seen. Their hull design was decades ahead of known human technology. "Impossible," Xerxes whispered. On every Collective channel, on every frequency they used, a single message played. It was Commander Sarah Chen's voice, calm and clear. "For 150 years, we have endured your condescension. We have suffered your exploitation. We discovered your experiments on our people. The time for patience is over. Humanity is not your servant race. We are not your laboratory subjects. We are your reckoning." Xerxes watched in horror as the human ships opened fire. Their weapons weren't the crude lasers and projectiles the collective had come to expect. These were quantum-tipped missiles that phased through shields as if they weren't there. Graviton beams that twisted space itself. "Send word to the council," he screamed. The humans have deceived us all." But no message would reach the council. Humanity's first strike had already begun, and with it, the end of the Centauri collective's dominion over the stars. The price of their patience would be paid in full. In her office on Titan, Sarah Chen watched the opening movements of humanity's liberation. "Send the order," she commanded. "Operation Perseus is now active. Show them why humanity was never meant to kneel." The war that would reshape the galaxy had begun. And humanity, after 150 years of calculated submission, was finally standing up. The Centauri mining facility on Uraba had never seen a human ship approach with weapons hot. For decades, they had watched Earth vessels limp through space with outdated engines, begging for trade routes and mining rights. But today was different. Dr. Maya Patel stood on the bridge of the Perseus-class battleship Hyperion, watching the facility's defensive systems activate. Her creation, the quantum phase drive, was about to show its worth. Behind her, the bridge crew worked with practiced precision, their movements rehearsed over countless simulations. "All hands, battle stations," she announced. "Initiate Operation Ghostwalker." The Hyperion's engines hummed with a sound that shouldn't exist in vacuum. The signature of quantum displacement technology that humanity had kept hidden for 50 years. The massive ship didn't so much move through space as step through its fabric, appearing inside the facility's defensive perimeter as if the shields weren't there. "By the first star," a Centauri officer transmitted. "How did they?" Maya cut the transmission with a gesture. "Target their power core. Minimal collateral damage. We're here to disable, not destroy." Across the solar system, similar scenes played out. Human ships, hidden for generations, emerged from secret bases. But the real surprise wasn't the ships, it was the people. In the Centauri capital on Proxima, High Administrator Ven's personal assistant looked up from her desk. For 20 years, Rebecca Wong had served coffee, filed reports, and listened. Today, she activated the quantum transmitter hidden in her spine and began downloading the capital's entire database. On 30 different Centauri worlds, human servants who had spent years in position activated similar devices. The Perseus Initiative hadn't just built ships, it had created the galaxy's most extensive spy network. Commander Chen's voice came through on the quantum comm, undetectable by Centauri technology. "Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Maya nodded to her weapons officer. "Show them what we can do." The Hyperion's main weapon wasn't a conventional gun. It was a gravity lance, technology that the Centauri had theorized but never mastered. The beam struck Europa's facility, and space itself seemed to fold. Shield generators crumpled like paper, and defense turrets twisted into abstract sculptures. "Facility disabled," reported Lieutenant Catry. "No casualties." Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Send in the boarding teams. Download everything they have about the human experimentation programs." In orbit around Earth, the Centauri diplomatic fleet was in chaos. Ambassador Xerxes watched in horror as reports flooded in from across collective space. Humans were everywhere, using impossible technology, accessing restricted systems, and neutralizing military installations with surgical precision. How? He demanded of no one in particular. They were primitives. We saw their ships, their technology. A junior aide, his crystalline form clouded with fear, approached. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from one of their vessels. It's Admiral Helena Drake." The name made Xerxes freeze. Admiral Drake had been the most vocal advocate for human-Centauri cooperation, always pushing for peaceful solutions, always accepting collective superiority with humble grace. Her image appeared on the main screen, but gone was the submissive diplomat. In her place was a warrior in full battle armor. "Ambassador Xerxes," she said, her voice cold. "For 30 years, I played the part of humanity's appeaser. I smiled at your insults, accepted your demands, and begged for scraps from your table, all while helping to build the force that would ensure humanity's freedom." "This is madness," Xerxes sputtered. "The collective will crush your rebellion." "No," Drake replied, "because we're not just in your space stations and on your worlds. We're in your computers, your communication networks, your defense systems. The Atlas AI has been dormant in your networks for decades, learning, waiting. And now, across collective space, computer systems began to shut down. Defense grids failed. Communication networks went dark. Decades of arrogance had left them vulnerable, and humanity had exploited every weakness. Back on Titan Base, Commander Chen watched the operations unfold on multiple screens. Agent Carter's sacrifice had been the trigger, but this day had been coming for generations. Every human child born in the last century had grown up knowing two things: the official history of humble cooperation with the collective, and the hidden truth of humanity's preparation for this moment. "Status report," she commanded. "Phase 2 at 87% completion," her AI assistant reported. "Minimal resistance encountered. Centauri forces are in disarray." "And Project Prometheus, ready for activation on your command." Sarah nodded. Project Prometheus, the quantum weapon that could reshape the galaxy's power structure in an instant. But that was a last resort. First, humanity would show the collective exactly what they had been dealing with all along. "Send word to all Perseus units," she ordered. "Begin Phase 3. Show them what happens when humanity decides to stop kneeling." In the debris field that had once been Europa's mining facility, Maya Patel watched her boarding teams return with the facility's data cores. The proof of Centauri experiments on humans would be broadcast across every inhabited world. Let the galaxy see what their benevolent overlords had been doing. "Next target," her XO asked. Maya brought up the tactical display. Dozens of green dots represented Perseus Initiative forces, advancing across collective space with unstoppable precision. Red dots showed Centauri military installations, many already disabled or under human control. "Set course for the Proxima shipyards," she ordered. "It's time to show them our full capabilities." The war wasn't over, it was barely beginning. But humanity had spent 150 years preparing for this day, and they intended to make every moment count. The silent thunder of their revenge was only starting to roll across the stars. The Centauri High Council chamber, normally a model of order and hierarchy, had descended into chaos. 7 crystalline beings, representatives of the founding species, argued as reports of human victories continued to flood in. Their forms flickered with agitation, their usually pristine surfaces clouded with stress patterns. High Counselor Zenith, his crystalline form dark with rage, slammed a limb against the ancient table. "How did we not see this coming? Centuries of intelligence, and we missed their entire military infrastructure." "Because we saw what we wanted to see," Counselor Lyra said quietly. Her form, more delicate than her peers, shimmered with troubled thoughts. "We wanted to believe they were primitive, desperate for our approval. We never questioned why they accepted our demand so easily." On the massive display screen, another Centauri outpost went dark. The Atlas AI had infiltrated their systems so thoroughly that human forces didn't even need to fire a shot at some installations. They simply shut them down remotely. In the Proxima shipyards, Admiral Marcus Santos watched his fleet emerge from quantum space. 30 ships, each carrying technology that would have been considered impossible by collective standards. The Perseus Initiative had not just built weapons, they had reimagined the laws of physics. Multiple Centauri vessels detected, his tactical officer reported. "They're forming a defensive line." Marcus smiled grimly. "Show them Formation Hydra." His fleet split into 3 groups, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible at those speeds. The quantum drives didn't just move through space, they manipulated it. Each ship left gravity distortions in its wake, creating a complex web of spatial anomalies that turned the battlefield into a deadly maze. The Centauri ships, impressive by conventional standards, suddenly looked outdated and clumsy. Their energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against quantum shields. Their targeting systems couldn't lock onto vessels that existed in multiple probability states simultaneously. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from within the Centauri fleet. It's in human code." Marcus leaned forward. "Put it through." A hologram appeared, a Centauri officer, but one whose crystalline form had been modified to appear more humanoid. "Admiral Santos, I am Commander Nexus. There are those among us who have long questioned the collective's treatment of humanity. We wish to defect." In the High Council chamber, the argument had turned dangerous. Counselor Lyra found herself backing away from her peers as they called for increasingly desperate measures. "Release the Omega virus," High Counselor Zenith demanded. "If we can't control the humans, we'll eliminate them." "The virus that we developed from human test subjects." Lyra's form flickered with horror. "The one that rewrites genetic code. We can't. It would be genocide." "They gave us no choice," Zenith roared. "Look what they've done to us. Centuries of planning, undone in days." But Lyra had already made her choice. Her form shifted, revealing quantum technology integrated into her crystalline structure. "Atlas," she spoke clearly. "Protocol Shatterpoint." Throughout the chamber, hidden quantum transmitters activated. Every word, every admission of atrocity, was being broadcast across all collective frequencies. The truth of their experiments, their plans for humanity, their development of biological weapons, all of it exposed to every species under their control. Back on Titan Base, Commander Chen watched the transmission with grim satisfaction. "Send word to all Perseus units. Begin Phase 4. Dr. Maya Patel, aboard the Hyperion, received the order with a mix of anticipation and concern. Phase 4 meant revealing their most advanced weapons, technology that would change the balance of power forever. "All ships prepare to activate Prometheus cores," she commanded. The quantum reactors at the heart of each Perseus vessel began to pulse with new energy. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. In the Proxima shipyards, Admiral Santos watched as more Centauri ships broke formation, joining Commander Nexus in defection. The collective was fracturing from within, its own people turning against a leadership that had built an empire on lies and exploitation. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "Prometheus cores are online across the fleet. Reality anchors are stable." Marcus nodded. "Signal all ships. Prepare for dimensional shift." The human fleet began to glow with impossible energy. The quantum drives weren't just engines. They were keys to unlock the very fabric of space-time. As the Prometheus cores powered up, multiple realities began to overlap. Each human ship existed in several dimensions simultaneously, making them effectively invincible to conventional weapons. In the High Council chamber, Zenith watched in horror as his empire crumbled. The humans hadn't just built better ships or weapons, they had evolved beyond what the collective had thought possible. And now, his own people were turning against him. "You fools," he snarled at his fellow counselors. "Don't you see? Everything we built, everything we are, will be destroyed." "No," Lyra responded calmly, her modified form glowing with quantum energy. "Something better will take its place. The age of the collective is over. The age of cooperation. True cooperation is about to begin." The battle for Alpha Proxima wasn't just a military engagement. It was the death knell of an empire that had ruled through fear and manipulation. As human ships danced through multiple dimensions, as Centauri defectors joined their cause, as the truth of the collective's atrocities spread across the galaxy, a new order was taking shape. And at its heart was humanity, not as servants or subjects, but as architects of a future that even the collective couldn't have imagined. The rings of Neptune shimmered with unnatural light as the largest Centauri battle fleet ever assembled emerged from hyperspace. 5,000 ships, drawn from every corner of their dying empire, gathered for one desperate attempt to crush humanity's rebellion. Grand Admiral Vex, his crystalline form pulsing with dark energy, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the World Breaker. "Deploy the reality anchors," he commanded. "The humans' dimensional tricks won't save them this time." Across the fleet, massive devices activated, stabilizing local space-time. The collective had spent the last week analyzing the quantum technology that had made human ships so formidable. They believed they had found a counter. On Titan base, Commander Chen watched the Centauri fleet's arrival with calculated calm. "They took the bait," she noted to her staff. "Right where we wanted them." Dr. Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum comm. "Commander, the Hyperion is in position. The entire Perseus fleet awaits your order." But she hesitated. "Are you sure about this? Once we activate the full Prometheus protocol, there's no going back. The universe itself will change." "They've left us no choice," Sarah replied. "They're deploying planet-killer weapons. If we don't end this now, they'll destroy Earth out of spite." The Centauri fleet's advance was methodical, their reality anchors creating a bubble of stable space-time that they thought would neutralize humanity's advantage. What they didn't know was that this had been anticipated, even planned for. Admiral Santos's voice crackled through the quantum network. "All ships report ready. Atlas has confirmed the calculations. We can't maintain dimensional shift inside their reality bubble, but we don't need to. Not anymore." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had truly been preparing for. The quantum drives, the dimensional shifting. They were impressive, but they weren't humanity's true achievement. "All Perseus units," she commanded, "initiate Prometheus protocol. Authorization code. Let there be light." The rings of Neptune shimmered with unnatural light as the largest Centauri battle fleet ever assembled emerged from hyperspace. 5,000 ships, drawn from every corner of their dying empire, gathered for one desperate attempt to crush humanity's rebellion. Grand Admiral Vex, his crystalline form pulsing with dark energy, stood on the bridge of his flagship, the World Breaker. "Deploy the reality anchors," he commanded. "The humans' dimensional tricks won't save them this time." Across the fleet, massive devices activated, stabilizing local space-time. The collective had spent the last week analyzing the quantum technology that had made human ships so formidable. They believed they had found a counter. On Titan base, Commander Chen watched the Centauri fleet's arrival with calculated calm. "They took the bait," she noted to her staff. "Right where we wanted them." Dr. Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum comm. "Commander, the Hyperion is in position. The entire Perseus fleet awaits your order." But she hesitated. "Are you sure about this? Once we activate the full Prometheus protocol, there's no going back. The universe itself will change." "They've left us no choice," Sarah replied. "They're deploying planet-killer weapons. If we don't end this now, they'll destroy Earth out of spite." The Centauri fleet's advance was methodical, their reality anchors creating a bubble of stable space-time that they thought would neutralize humanity's advantage. What they didn't know was that this had been anticipated, even planned for. Admiral Santos's voice crackled through the quantum network. "All ships report ready. Atlas has confirmed the calculations. We can't maintain dimensional shift inside their reality bubble, but we don't need to. Not anymore." Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had truly been preparing for. The quantum drives, the dimensional shifting. They were impressive, but they weren't humanity's true achievement. "All Perseus units," she commanded, "initiate Prometheus protocol. Authorization code. Let there be light." Throughout the solar system, hidden quantum arrays activated. They weren't weapons in the conventional sense. They were something far more profound. tools to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within a localized area. Dr. Patel watched her displays as the Prometheus protocol engaged. Reality manipulation at 100%. Quantum coherence stable. We're ready. The Centauri fleet detected the energy buildup too late. Grand Admiral Vex watched in horror as space itself began to change around his ships. Their reality anchors, designed to stabilize spacetime, were useless against what was coming. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "These energy readings are impossible." On the bridge of the Hyperion, Maya Patel allowed herself a grim smile. "No, Admiral, not impossible. We just learned to think bigger than you did." The Prometheus protocol reached critical mass. In an instant, the laws of physics within the battle zone rewrote themselves. The Centauri fleet's energy weapons, based on normal spacetime principles, simply ceased to function. Their shields, designed for conventional warfare, might as well have been tissue paper. But the human ships, designed for this moment, transformed. The quantum drives interfaced with the altered physics, allowing them to move in ways that defied comprehension. Weapons powered by the new laws of physics cut through Centauri vessels as if they weren't there. By the first star, Vex whispered, "They didn't just advance beyond us. They changed reality itself." The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in minutes. The mighty Centauri fleet found itself trapped in a pocket of space where their technology was effectively useless, facing an enemy that had rewritten the rules of existence. On Titan base, Sarah received the reports with a mix of relief and sadness. This victory would change everything. Not just the war, but the very nature of civilization in this part of the galaxy. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. The Prometheus protocol was successful. "And contact our allies within the collective. It's time for the next phase." In the aftermath of the battle, Dr. Patel led the research teams studying the effects of their victory. The Prometheus protocol hadn't just won them a battle. It had proven that humanity's understanding of the universe had surpassed anything the collective had imagined possible. "The changes are stable," she reported to Commander Chen. "We can maintain the altered physics indefinitely within the affected zone. More importantly, we can replicate it anywhere we choose." Sarah nodded. "And the Centauri survivors? Being evacuated as we speak. Many are asking for asylum, especially their scientists. They want to understand how we did this." The victory at Neptune's rings would go down in history as the moment when humanity revealed its true power. They hadn't just built better weapons or faster ships. They had learned to reshape reality itself. But as Sarah Chen looked out at the stars from her office on Titan, she knew this was just the beginning. The collective's leadership would be desperate now, willing to use any weapon, take any risk, to prevent their complete defeat. "Send word to all commands," she ordered. "Prepare for their final gambit. Whatever they throw at us, we'll be ready." The next few hours would determine not just the outcome of the war, but the very future of intelligent life in the galaxy. And humanity, after centuries of preparation, was ready to take its place as architects of that future. High Counselor Zenith stood in the sacred chamber beneath the collective's capital city, his crystalline form pulsing with dark purpose. Before him, an ancient device thrummed with power, the Nexus Core, the source of the collective's original rise to power millennia ago. "If we cannot rule," he declared to his remaining loyal followers, "then none shall rule." The Nexus Core was more than a power source. It was a remnant of a civilization that had transcended physical existence. The collective had never fully understood its power, but now they intended to use it as a weapon of last resort. In orbit above Earth, Commander Sarah Chen received the warning from their deep cover agents. "They're activating something called the Nexus Core," she reported to the Unified Command. "Analysis suggests it could tear apart the fabric of spacetime across the entire sector." Dr. Maya Patel's hologram flickered with concern. "The energy readings are off the scale. This is beyond even the Prometheus protocol's capabilities to counter directly." "Then we don't counter it," Admiral Santos interjected. "We use it." Sarah understood immediately. This was why humanity had developed not just one contingency, but layers upon layers of plans. Initiative Omega, she commanded. Full deployment. Across human space, a new type of quantum array activated, not to change the laws of physics, but to channel and redirect energy on a cosmic scale. The Atlas AI, distributed through the quantum network, began calculations that would have taken organic minds centuries to complete. In the sacred chamber, Zenith initiated the Nexus Core's final sequence. "Let them taste oblivion," he snarled. But as the core's power built to devastating levels, something unexpected happened. The energy didn't tear reality apart. It flowed into channels that hadn't existed moments before. Humanity's quantum arrays weren't fighting the core's power. They were accepting it, redirecting it, using it. Impossible. Zenith screamed as he realized what was happening. On the bridge of the Hyperion, Dr. Patel watched her displays with a mix of awe and triumph. The arrays are holding. Atlas is successfully integrating the core's energy into our network. It's beautiful. The power that should have destroyed civilization instead became its salvation. Humanity's quantum technology, combined with the ancient energies of the Nexus Core, created something entirely new. A network of stable wormholes throughout the galaxy, connecting civilizations that had been kept apart by the collective's artificial barriers. In the sacred chamber, Counselor Lyra led a team of human and Centauri security forces. They found Zenith alone, his crystalline form cracked and dulled, watching as his final weapon became a tool of unity rather than destruction. "How?" he asked as they took him into custody. "How did you surpass us so completely?" Lyra's modified form shimmered with something like pity. "Because you never understood the true source of power. You sought to control, to dominate. Humanity learned to adapt, to transform, to transcend. The aftermath of the war brought changes no one had fully anticipated. The Prometheus Protocol's ability to alter physical laws, combined with the ancient power of the Nexus Core, opened possibilities that neither humans nor Centauri had imagined. 1 month later, representatives from every species in the former collective gathered in a new chamber, one built in neutral space, designed for cooperation rather than dominance. Commander Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood before them. "We stand at a crossroads," she began. "The old order of dominance and subjugation is over. But we are not here to establish a new empire. We are here to build something greater, a federation of equals, where knowledge is shared, where advancement benefits all." Dr. Patel presented the technical aspects of humanity's proposal. The quantum network they had created would be open to all species, under careful oversight. The ability to alter physical laws would be studied jointly, used for exploration and advancement rather than warfare. "Our victory was never about revenge," she explained. "It was about creating the possibility for something better." The former collective species, freed from their crystalline overlords, embraced the new paradigm with surprising enthusiasm. Many had their own secret developments, hidden from their former masters, which now could be shared openly. Admiral Santos oversaw the integration of military forces, creating a joint defense fleet that would protect all member worlds equally. "The stars are vast," he noted, "and we have only begun to understand their mysteries. Together, we can explore them properly." In her private moments, Sarah Chen often returned to that first day on Titan Base, when Agent Carter's final message had set everything in motion. The price had been high. Too many good people lost, too many sacrifices made. But the result? She stood at her old observation window on Titan, watching as ships of various species moved through the newly established quantum gates. Some were designs she had never seen before, emerging from races that had hidden their true capabilities just as humanity had. "Admiral," her AI assistant interrupted, "the first joint scientific expedition is ready for departure. They've requested you give the authorization." Sarah smiled. This was what victory really looked like. Not conquest, but collaboration. Not dominance, but discovery. "Signal the expedition," she commanded. "Tell them. Tell them to show us something new." The war that had begun with humanity's rebellion ended not with the destruction of their enemies, but with the birth of something unprecedented. A civilization that crossed the boundaries of species, of physics, of possibility itself. The stars had shuddered not at humanity's vengeance, but at their vision of what could be. And in the endless dark between the stars, countless civilizations looked toward Earth not with fear, but with hope. The age of the collective was over. The age of unity had begun.